This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast. All right, welcome to another episode of the Coonhound Collective podcast. I don't have my co-host with me today, so we're going to hold off on reading the Apple reviews and comments. We've got several to get caught up on. I don't want to do that today because I have a special guest with me today. But I'm sure after Brett gets through running around looking to buy him a walker dog, I think that's where he's going today, to buy him a walker dog, that we'll get him back on here and we'll get those read. But today I have a return guest, Mr. Charles Pudil. How's it going, Mr. Charles?
Hey, it's going good. If I was any better, I'd be twins.
Well, that's pretty good for sure. I see you've had quite a bit going on, and we've actually got a topic to talk about. Me and you've messaged a little bit about, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let's do some catching up. Since the last time you were on here, you've got some dogs that are getting qualified, and some litters of puppies, and some kennel work. So let's talk about those dogs first, and kind of some hunting and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think when I first talked to you, I had wrote some stories that had popped up on a few of the magazines, some of the Facebook pages on hunting with a kid back in the 90s. Matter of fact, we're still hunting together. He's in his 40s now. But that I was just getting back into the hunting, and I partnered up with Bobby Phillips. He's in his 70s now, and kind of made the decision if I was going to do this, I wanted to do it competitively. And to make it hard, I wanted to pick one of the three breeds that's, least known plots, red bones or leopards, and decided I had some experience with red bones from when I hunted back in the 90s. So that's what we went with. And I kind of came up with a concept, I wanted to breed the fastest, most accurate, best competition red dogs in the country. And to do that, I'm already in my 50s. I don't have 30 years to go. So I came up with a concept of stacking pedigrees with putting as most top 10 reproducers on outcrosses that I could. And I made two crosses a number of years ago. Well, first cross is now just turning 4 years old. That's my Dottie female. Second cross is the JC female that Ricky Vickers has up in Kentucky that he's winning with. And so far, what we crossed is working out. Everything but one puppy that I've produced so far is running and treeing coons and doing pretty good in competition.
How many litters, since you decided, you made your mind up, and I understand what you mean, you make your mind up, I'm going to do this, and unfortunately, some of us let time go by, and time is against us, so you kind of have to speed things up. How many litters, since you made your mind up that you were going to try to do this, have you put on the ground?
5 litters. The first, starting out, I did a aftershock male, my old Ranger dog who'd never been in a hunt, but he had what I was looking for. Bred him to a dog. We had Annie, that another dog never been competition hunted, out of Jericho. That's probably been the best cross I've made so far. And then I crossed that same Ranger dog to a Dano female. That's been a pretty good cross. And then once I got some of my dogs out of that, I've been crossed them over to my Iceman dog. I got a male directly out of Thickens Deep Woods Rocky, who's the all-time best reproducing red male that's ever existed, historical. And I've got, let's see, 2 litters out of him, one with my Dottie female, one with my Sweet Tater female. I bred her real young, but she'd showed me enough that I was willing to breed her. I got 3 wins on her just in the last couple months. And then I've got Dixie, is a littermate sister to my Dottie female. I bred her to a male down here, red male, named Ryder, who's out of Garrett's Grand Night Tater. So I've got 5 litters altogether.
Okay. And you said the oldest one at this time is 4 years old, right?
4 years old. Yep, okay. That's Dottie.
Sounds like you're well on your way to figure out what the right combination there is for sure.
We're working on it.
So Dottie and Iceman. Well, I guess you got Dottie, Iceman, and Sweet Tater. Those are your 3 main dogs you're pushing right now?
They are. And then I've gotten a few dogs that I've put into the hands of other hunters. Got a fella up in North Carolina, Methodist preacher up there, Mike Harrell. He's got my Dixie female. And then we put JC into Ricky Vickers. He's probably one of the top dog men in the country handling red dogs up in Kentucky. And he's handling her, and he's winning hunts with her.
Okay. So Dottie Iceman, both of them are qualified for the World Hunt, and they're both TOC qualified.
They are.
And you said Sweet Tater is not quite TOC qualified because she come in heat, right?
She did. We had just started competition on her. She won 3 in a row, and then came in heat. Right when she came out, I put her in a hunt. It was 90-some degrees. I was down on points hunting against 2 Walker males. They ended up pulled a slick tree together, and I was kind of back in the mix. She got deep, got alone, and got treed. I called her treed. We ended up agreed to go ahead, and she was so far away to jump in the truck, get closer. I ended up within like 60 yards, pulled up, we got out, and I was listening and didn't hear nothing. I looked down the garment, she wasn't moving, and I kept just praying, just give me one bark. And she didn't, and they put the stopwatch on me. And I don't know, I was probably 30 seconds out. I said, the heck with it, I'm going in to get her. As soon as I stepped in the woods, she cut loose with a bark. She just gave out. She was so hot. Had the coon, and would have had the hunt won on that one. And then on my second hunt, she went in and got sliced up, got a big slice on her. I don't know if she hit concertina wire. Didn't look like a hog, but something put a big cut on her, so I had to withdraw her. But I'll have her back in the hunt about 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, sounds like you definitely been at it. Now, are you PKC hunting any of these dogs at all?
I have not. I got nothing against PKC. I have not done a PKC hunt since the 90s. Everything I got, all my pups are super staked. They're all DNA'd. Everything's PKC registered. I just haven't hit any PKC hunts.
Yeah, I just wondering. I know you've done some winning in UKC, and part of what we're going to talk about has to do with UKC. And I guess I never in all of our conversations heard you mention anything about PKC, so I just didn't know.
As a matter of fact, I've been in one PKC hunt my whole life.
Well, that was kind of me, before, in I think 1998, maybe it was 97 or 98, I was in one PKC hunt and wasn't in another one until about 3 or 4 years ago. And
I had a super champion Walker dog named Buddy, a phenomenal competition dog, screaming low K, 120 bark a minute dog. Glenn Rogers owned him, and I was hunting him. Got first strike, first tree, and I knew something was right. The dog had one bad habit. He would occasionally tree a possum, and when he treed, he didn't tree real hard. And, generally you go into the possum's in a sapling. This possum was in the biggest tree in the woods, covered in vines, and I saw the eyes peeking out from the vines, and nobody else in the cast saw it. And we were walking back to the truck. I told the judge, I said, go ahead and scratch my dog. And he said, what? I said, scratch my dog. He goes, what do you mean? I said, there was a possum in that tree. I said, I'm going to win a hunt. I'm going to win a rut. I ain't winning with a possum. And he laughed. He goes, well, ain't everybody can do that. I went back and told my partner, and doggone, he got cussing mad. And he said, you're a pretty big fella. He said, when you go to a tree, go ready to fight. He said, we come to these things to win. And he didn't speak to me for about 2 weeks. And he called me up. And he said, man, I got people all over the country calling, wanting to know who you are. They want you to handle your dogs if you're that honest to scratch yourself. So we went back to hunt together. He didn't get too mad about it.
Yeah. Well, I had a dog here that we were speaking about before we hit record. That boy, he really liked them possums, and I got mad with him, and like most hunters, I guess generally do, and I priced him, and a guy bought him, and that joker's been out there for 3 or 4 months and ain't looked at another possum. He just nothing but tree and coon. So I guess I made a mistake. I should have held on just a little while longer, but you live and learn. That's okay. But
I have not treed a possum in 3 years. I say that I'll tree a truckload of them. My Dottie has never treed a possum. Matter of fact, I have never broke Dottie on any off game. She's never run any off game for me to break her. But Kevin Phillips, I don't know if you know Kevin. He's won the Carina Poits race a number of times over. He's accomplished as any handler out there. Hunted the Black Creek Abe and Black Creek Doc and Black Creek Magic. But he's handling Iceman. He retired from the sport about 12 years old, came back in. He's hunting red dogs up in Indiana for us. But he's got a breaking barrel that he uses for possums. you want to break a dog on possums, get a hold of him and get his breaking barrel plans and go with that.
Well, I don't know if it's the same breaking barrel, but we used a barrel. Let's just say that. Yeah, I put it this way: I had myself and about 2 or 3 other guys attempt to break this dog, and he just had his mind made up. Now, right before I sold him, the last possum he treed, I give him a little attitude adjustment and kind of done some training and working with him, and I took him, I don't know, I think one time after that, and he treed a coon. That was the night my little bluegrass Amos female, she run track to the bottom of the tree, but she wouldn't ever tree. She's about 4 or 5 months old, and I had just priced him when this happened, and the boy bought him. I put him up because I didn't, I wasn't going to hunt him and take a chance of getting him hurt or killed or whatever, being the boys bought him, and of course I give the boy, he ain't a boy, he's a man, give him, references and people's phone numbers to call and say, I told him, I said, now I'm telling you, when I say he's got a possum problem, he's got a possum problem. And he called these guys, and the one guy told him, he said, I don't care. You don't got a technique that'll break this dog. There ain't no breaking him. And so, we were up front with him, everybody that talked to him, because I just, if I'm going to sell a dog, I want somebody to know the truth about him.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, just talked to him, I don't know, a few hours before I talked to you today, and he said, he ain't showed me one possum since he's been out here. Ain't treating nothing but coons. And I
That'd be my
thought,
kind of luck.
you got to be kidding. You've had several litters there. You've been working on dogs in hunts, and I see on Facebook you've been redoing dog kennels too.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever really get back into coon hunting. Moved back here. My wife is from Phoenix City. We wanted to be back by the Fort Benning area. I retired from the Army up in northwest Arkansas, and I started dabbling in squirrel dogs. But got back here. My partner, Bobby Phillips, I started just going with him occasionally, and then the bug bit me, and I got back into it. And I just got a Tractor Supply kennel, one of those retriever kennels, and put it on some pavers, and then added a few more to it. Sooner or later, I want to actually pour a slab, put the drain in, 2 blocks high, and all that. But I'm just doing a little maintenance on my kennel. So what I did is had to put 2 replacements where male dogs that urinate on a kennel, they'll rot one out, rust it. So I got 2 new replacements, painted them with rubber paint, and then I just took on my pavers. I mixed buckets of concrete and then poured it over the pavers to get it down in the cracks, and then painted it all with a sealer. So it's not a permanent kennel, but it's a 3-run kennel that'll work for me for right now.
I've got those same panels, those retriever panels. Mine's I've got a old Farrenhouse hog barn, and I've got an inside and an outside, and I've never, I guess I've not had them long enough for them to rust through, but I've never thought about painting them with that. I guess it's like that bed liner stuff.
Yeah, just undercoating, a rubber undercoating for pickup trucks. I just went to Walmart and grabbed a few cans of it, and I just spray the bottoms of them, and then every couple times a year just keep spraying them, and it helps protect them. So.
Huh. I'm gonna have to remember that, because I'm fixing to redo some of mine, and I'm actually the dog that I sold to the guy in North Carolina. I'm actually breeding him to a female, because I was going to breed him last year when she come in heat and he started treeing possums on me. I got mad and wouldn't breed him, and now I'm wishing I would have bred him. So I'm in the process now of working on building a whelping pen and area. And then in the same breath, I'm also fixing to redo my kennels up there. I may actually wait till the fall when it's a little cooler to really get going on the kennel part. But I'll have to remember that. I need to, because I have those same panels that you have. They're pretty good panels, actually.
Yeah, I had a storm come through when I had my Ranger dog, and a tornado actually, and knocked a fairly large wild cherry tree down. And if I'd have been just regular, these chain link kettles, my dog would have been dead. Those retrievers, it smashed through it, but the bar that goes across held that tree up. My dog was trapped in there. I had to climb in there in the middle of the night in a pouring down rain and get him out, but it saved him from getting crushed.
Like I said, that's what I've got, and I've been very pleased with them. I think they hold up really, really well. I've got them used for dog kennels, but I've actually got a chicken coop also made out of them too.
Yep, they make them pre-made for that.
And they really do seem to hold up pretty well. But we better stop talking about that. Retriever's going to have to sponsor the podcast if we keep on. One thing I was going to bring up too, is any of your dogs open to, like Iceman, any of those dogs open to be bred publicly, or are you just doing your...
Yeah, I make my own ads on PowerPoint, and I post them up on the various social media sites. If somebody's interested in breeding, give me a holler.
Yeah, before we move on to this other thing we were going to talk about, I just want to make sure we cover all that as far as the breeding. And do you got puppies available for sale now, or are they all spoken for?
So I've put them in the best hands I can. I have 3 puppies. I've got one out of Dottie is down with a friend in South Georgia. He's running a tree in Recon. I've got Wampus Cat Eagle. He's with me. He's running, opening on track, but not treeing a whole lot yet. And then I've got Dee Dee out of Ryder and my Dixie female. She's running and treeing some. And then I've got a good number of those dogs are already running and treeing around coons. I got a little boy I gave a pup to. We try to give a pup to a kid every cross. Little boy over by Birmingham's got one named Jake. I'd give a pretty penny to have that dog back. That kid ain't never going to part with him. But yeah, by the time December gets here, I'll probably pick the one of the 3 I've got that I like the best and start getting it ready for competition. The other ones I'll probably move on.
I've talked about this before. It really does take a team effort, especially to do it in a short time frame, like, trying to basically play catch up, on what you're doing. And for you to have a team of guys around you that you can depend on, and find people that you can depend on to be able to put these dogs in the right people's hands. I mean, that's...
Yep. Some of it's just the knowledge you get. Wade Coons, Bruce Simons, some of these Redbone guys like that have helped me out. But then getting Kevin to come out of retirement and start handling red dogs at the highest levels has done amazing for us.
Yeah, and if you can get somebody to handle for you, I always have in the back, I have, a young dog here, and another young dog that I think I'm going to end up with. And, in my head, I'm always going, where could I place this dog for a couple months in a lot heavier coon population to give them, the best head start they can get. Because, I mean, honestly, where I live, I just don't have a great coon population. I mean, we got coons, but just like everywhere else in the country, but just right here where I'm at, I guess regionally located, I just don't have a very heavy population. So I'm always thinking of that, and then I always go, but I just don't know who you could trust to do that and do what they say they would do is the problem.
Yeah, that ain't the easiest thing to find. I've got an Army Ranger instructor, Sergeant First Class, that handles my tater dog. Matter of fact, he put all 3 wins on her, and he's been a huge help.
Wow.
That's another thing. I've got, the first time you had me on was when I told the story about hunting with Irvin. I got kids out of the inner city, out of the poorer parts of Columbus that are hunting. I got one. I had a 17-year-old girl hunted in the Mississippi State with Dottie, the Mississippi State Youth Hunt last year. So I got a number of kids that are handling dogs too.
Man, that's awesome. That's what the sport needs. It needs somebody, especially with a connection to kids like that, to be able to give them something to do and put the right dogs in their hands for them to get excited about doing it, for sure.
Yeah, and I have more fun doing that than any of it.
Yeah, I can imagine, for sure. Yeah. Well, one of the reasons, or I guess the main reason, I wanted to get you on today is you posted I think you messaged me the flyer before I ever seen it on Facebook, and I kind of read over it, and the concept and the idea I think is awesome. Then you kind of done some revising, and I guess I assume you probably reached out to some other people and they got some feedback and kind of done some revising and sent it back to me. And then I noticed you had posted it on Facebook in a couple of places, and I think a lot of people riding down the road, they're listening to this in their truck, and this would come out on Monday morning, going to work, and so I kind of wanted to have you on and let you explain your idea behind this, because I think it's a great idea, and hopefully the needs to know at UKC will maybe, I don't know if they listen to this podcast or not, maybe somebody will share it to them if they don't, but maybe Trevor and Alan listen to this and they'll hear it, and maybe can take something from it to incorporate, I guess almost incorporate a whole nother level to this TOC deal that they already have going. So I'm just going to give you the microphone. You just start at the beginning and kind of explain this, because you can explain it way better than me.
Okay, so when I got back into the breeding and trying to compete red bones, I figured there's got to be some measuring sticks to say, how am I doing? So 1, am I winning hunts? 2, what level of hunts am I winning? 3, how am I doing compared to the other red dogs? And then how am I doing, to the other breeds? So when I go to the Winter Classic, I want I want to win first place, but I want to know that I've got the highest scoring red dog there. We did that at the Georgia State. Iceman did that last year at Autumn Oaks for registered. He took 2nd place overall. This year I took 5th place, registered with Dottie at the Winter Classic. So that was one measuring stick. Are we winning? And then where are we compared to other dogs? And what I found is, I don't know if anybody else do this, I would go online, type in on Google, UKC, TOC qualifiers. And it pops up. They repopulate that about every 2 weeks, and it'll tell you every breed. It breaks it down, X breed included, by male and female, how many dogs are TOC qualified, and then over to the far right, it gives you the number of wins. And I just started looking at it. It's like, so who's got the most wins for a red dog? And I look at other breeds too. And I said, I'm going to make it a goal that I have the most wins. I believe the way they stack it is by who qualified first. So whoever got the first, 5 wins for a red bone male, which is our Iceman dog right now, is the first one populated. And I thought to myself, I said, if UKC would just populate it by the most wins on top for males and then break it down females, it would be a competition within competition. It could be, smack talking rights. Hey, I've got the winningest English dog or red dog or whatever breed. And as I thought on that, that's when the idea kind of popped up. I was like, hey, this TOC is a great idea. I don't know who came up with it, but I think it puts a big money hunt. So it's not just PKC with the big money hunts, and it gives you a national competition, but you get to qualify locally. Where back in the day, if you did the Purina points race, you had to run all over the country. So as I looked at that, I said, maybe if we can, reach out to UKC and say, list it by most wins. And as I thought on that, that's when the idea, I was like, hey, they could go above and beyond. They could hit a kind of piggyback on the TOC and have a TOC points race for each breed. I'm a retired Army officer. I think most people that were infantry, they like command or instructor positions. Nobody likes staff, but the staff jobs in the Army, I learned a little bit about making PowerPoint, mission statements, military decision-making process. So all those kind of products and methods are in my head. I use them in, the jobs I work now. So what I did is just created a concept slide on PowerPoint. I tried to pretty it up, make it look like it actually would come from UKC, but they're little symbols, and it just has a mission statement: who, what, when, where, why, who UKC, and it just goes through, going to have a breed points race, and then made a summary of how it works. So generally what I have found, if you come up with a good idea and then you present it, in the Army, it'd be, to other officers, a group of NCOs, generally people can take your good idea, expound it, or build on it and come up with a much better idea. And that was my goal, is if I put it out there, if I get other people looking at it, other smart coon hunters, if they like it, that they reach out to Wade and Alan and some of those. Trevor Wade did shoot me an email and said he's got it, said thank you, and said he's going to present it to UKC. So my concept right now, just looking at it, of how it would work, is at some point in time in the beginning of the year, you would sign up through UKC and pay a fee to enter the points race. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's just the way I assumed it. So if you want to compete, you pay a fee. Once you pay that fee, what I kind of thought on was it's one thing to win a local hunt where 5 dogs entered it. It's another to win Autumn Oaks or the Winter Classic. So I kind of assumed you would have to have or could have a weighted scoring where you win a local hunt, that's a point. You win a state hunt, that's 2 points. You win, your cast at the Winter Classic, that's 3 points. And that doesn't have to be how the scoring. That's just what I came up with as an example. I also, I kind of thought, well, would it be a points different if your dog is night champion, grand night? I don't think necessarily that would matter. How many dogs have showed up to the hunt? How many dogs in the cast? It's one thing you show up to a hunt, there's nobody else there. You and a judge go out and pick up a win. That's kind of like, kissing your sister or something. Ain't the greatest win. Where if you got 4 dogs in the cast, then maybe that's weighted higher. So I assumed that if they had a weighted system, that if every 2 weeks they populate it, you can look online, you can see where your dog ranks. Not only does it make it a competition within a competition, it makes it a means of measuring your dog or a line of dogs against others across the nation. So, when I look at red bones, I got my Wampus Cat, I got, T-Mac, Tony Dominguez and Doc Holiday out there with their outlaw breed, and you got, other ones. I can say who's winning the most, not only who's winning, what kennel has the most dogs qualified. And I think you could also track it and say what reproducers are putting the most dogs within TOC qualified list. So there's a number of, criteria that you could look at. Now, the challenge would be modifying the current database to hold that information. I'm not a computer scientist, but I don't think that would be that hard to come up with the database. The other thing is, what would the fee be? And then my assumption is at the end of the year, or the way I envisioned it, was when you actually go to the TOC that they recognize the breed winners, whether it's a trophy, whether it's a check, whether it's a trophy and a check, whether it's just bragging rights at the event. Ricky Vickers looked at it, and I think he kind of put a different spin on it. He looked at it and said, if at the end of the year, you take the top 8, 10, 12, whatever from each breed, and then they go to a central location, and then they do a hunt off. A little similar like the TOC, but it'd be the TOC. That way you'd have the top of each breed, and then, that would be 8. That's your black and tan, blue tick, English, leopard, red bone, walker, and X breed makes 8. If you had 2 casts, hunt off and then hunt from there, then you'd have the top points dog in the nation. So it would do a little bit of what the Purina points race did back in the day, but you would be able to hunt local hunts and still be competitive without running all over the country with gas prices being what they are. Now, all of that said, it's probably talked a little too fast, a little too much. I believe if you take that concept, that slide, you can find it on Facebook. If you go to just about any of the big coon hunting, especially red bone, or the coon hunting conversation, and look at it. Some smart guys that are competition hunters, the guys that run the breed associations, guys that run state associations, some master of hounds, look at that and then do some problem solving, a little critical thinking. They could probably come up with a much better plan than what I had. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's, I like the idea. And I honestly, when I first read it and I've kind of mulled it over, I actually had the same idea of, why not take the top 4 of each breed or 8 of each breed, kind of like what you said, and meet somewhere centrally, and just, you could make it into a whole different, especially if you could get with UKC, with their relationship they have with people, surely they could pull a sponsor in to sponsor it. I don't know, what you would call it. They have Battle of the Breeds at Ada, Oklahoma. Maybe this would be something that could lead up to a big Battle of the Breeds you know, hunt per se that would kind of bring back some, you know, nostalgic for that hunt, and maybe, you know, even be able to, you know, just bring more people in. I've never been to Battle of the Breeds in Ada, Oklahoma, but from what I understand, that hunts kind of died off. Well, this would be a true Battle of the Breeds, you know, with the way this is lined up, especially if you've done the, you know, you run this point race, and like you said, you don't have to run all over the country to get qualified. You may have to hunt a bunch local to do it, but, you know, you could hunt local and possibly be able to get in and get qualified, or hunt some local and hit one or two big hunts and be able to get qualified to get in this, to, you know, take those breeds like you said and be able to hunt, you know, a breed hunt off. I really like that idea.
Yeah. And there's, you know, when I looked at this, now I'm a UKC man. Nothing against any of the other registries, but if I belong to an organization, I generally am very loyal to the organization and want to improve it. So one, I was like, you know, I would like to come up with something that improves or adds to. But registries are there for one reason. They're a business and they make money. So I think there is money-making opportunity for UKC. Another aspect is we're kind of a dying sport. So I was like, what is something that, you know, can generate more interest in pushing your dog in local hunts, that if people know, you know, even the small hunter, hey, I can stack these points just running around my state. If I go to the, you know, where I'm at, I go to the Alabama state, I go to the Georgia state, you know, that's not 2,000 miles away. That's, you know, just right up the road. And I can hit my local club hunt. So I want to generate more interest in local club hunts, more interested in the state hunts, and you continue to push dogs that have already made Grand Night. You don't just retire them. You know, dogs that have titled out, you know, you try to go for the gusto and win the big hunts, like the old Purina Points. You know, and I think finding sponsors, whether it's Eukanuba or Tractor Supply or whoever that hosts it, you know, that would be the smart guys at UKC to figure out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I really like the idea of, you know, taking even the top two and having there's 8 breeds, having a 16 dog Battle of the Breeds hunt off, or, you know, whatever that accumulates to, and having, I think they could take this to another level and make a whole nother hunt out of it, out of the TOC, or they could just incorporate it like the original idea was. But I think they have an opportunity here either way to do something to help gain some interest in local club hunts, some state hunts, and maybe some of their bigger events.
Oh yeah, it's just, you know, I think a couple smart guys and girls that competition hunt, know how to plan, know how to resource, know how to recruit, sit down with a dry erase board and go at it. I think the sky is the limit on what they could turn that into. And you're basically piggybacking off of something that already exists.
Yeah, they already have the software there. They're already tracking this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be that big of a deal for them to just say, okay, well, we're going to track this information and we're going to use it, you know, like you said, we're going to recognize it, the TOC, or, hey, we're going to use this and we're going to create a whole nother hunt, or maybe we're going to use this and we're going to, like I said, this is kind of a Battle of the Breeds thing. Maybe we're going to rejuvenate the Battle of the Breeds hunt with this.
Yep. And if it'll grow interest, then, you know, that's a plus. And it could evolve. They could start out and just say, hey, we're going to take, you know, Knucklehead Chuck Pudil's idea of stacking the winningest dog on top of the TOC list. We'll just start out with that. And then the next year we'll, you know, build it to another level. I think it could be incremental and build up. Or they can, you know, sit down and next year go big and come up with a completely new hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think it's a great idea. I think it will definitely help gain interest. I think, you know, obviously the TOC, since its inception, just local clubs I've seen more people showing up, bringing their Grand Nights back out, bringing their night champions back out to, you know, hunt in those hunts now.
Yep. And I do believe if I was looking for a dog to breed to, it's one thing to win one big hunt, because anybody that's done it long enough knows you got to have a dog, but there is a little bit of a luck factor. It's another, when you look back in the days when they had the Purina points, it's another to have a dog that can travel and win consistently over and over. I would rather, breed to a dog that wins consistently than a dog that's a one-hit wonder and one big hunt.
Yeah, no, I see your point there for sure. And this, you're right. This would open up the eyes for each breed. And honestly, I think if they put some type of monetary, just like they did with the TOC, some type of monetary gain at the end of this, I think it would really help to gain more interest into it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes them a little more competitive with PKC. Not that I'm, trying to compete with PKC. But yeah, there are those guys that if there's not money on the table, they're not really interested. So you bring in some of that crowd too.
And I'm just sitting here thinking about this because I'm going to do a podcast and we're going to talk about some breed associations. If the breed associations would get involved with this, and I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole because me and Aaron Gamble is going to talk about this. The breed associations have kind of tied themselves to UKC. And separated from everything else when they're actually a breed association that's supposed to represent the breed that you're hunting. And this, I like I said, I don't want to really go down this because this is really, really one of my pet peeves here because they're supposed to represent us as a breed, whatever breed that is, and not a specific organization. But if the breed associations would get behind this as well, they could really do a lot here to push their breed and help their own associations.
So here's when I sat down and you come up with your whiz bang idea. The one thing I know is there's gonna be some smart guys that start shooting it full of holes. So I did, okay, what can I shoot full of holes? And one of the things I came up with, of I guess somewhat of a weakness that I wondered, said, okay, let's say there's a fee. You pay a fee at the beginning of the year. We'll just say $200 to enter it, $100. You pay $100 to enter. And then at the end of the year, if you're the number one dog of your breed, you get a check. Now, if that's the case, Walker dogs by far outnumber every other breed. English number 2, and then what's blue tick, and then black and tan, and then red bone plot and leopard. So do they get the same amount? Because if they get the same amount, the Walker dog guys like there were 1,300 qualified dogs last year. I think over 700 of them were Walkers. I'm competing against 700 other people. That leopard guy is competing against 20 other people. He's got an unfair advantage. So would that compel some of the Walker dog people to say, if I really want to win this thing, I'm going to hunt a different breed? Or do you make it a percentage? It's a percentage. If the red bone guy says, well, heck, I'm just a small percentage. If I try to win this thing, I get a check for 300, the Walker dog guy gets a check for 6,000. Heck, with red bones, I'm going to hunt Walker. So there's, coming up with some sort of equity and saying there's a fairness without making a migration, which I'm not going to migrate anyways. I'm a red dog guy, and that's what I'm going to hunt. But you probably don't want to make a migration of people leaving a breed to chase excuse me, to chase money. And I don't know that would happen, but as I was trying to shoot holes in my own idea, that was one of the problems. I said that would have to be worked out and figured a way around.
Well, and I guess what I'm thinking in my head is if you have so instead of having the TOC deal, if you had it separated, like what you said, I think you said Ricky Vickers had talked about.
Yeah.
If you done it that way, those top dogs that they choose from each breed, whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever those are, those breed associations that are associated with that breed ought to step up in some kind of way. And like I think the black and tans have something if you win the world hunt, and they ought to step up in some kind of way and say, hey, this is representing our breed. We need to step up and we need to recognize these dogs in some sort of way, whether it's monetary, whether it's through sponsorship money, whether it's through sponsorship prizes, or they should step up and be involved in this as well to help push, because it all it's going to do is help them. Because if one breed says, you know what, the top 4 black and tan dogs that are involved, we're going to give them $1,000 a piece. Well, how many people
Yeah.
are going to go buy a black and tan and start hunting a black and tan and join the association?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, that's another thing, is if it can encourage more people to join the association, that's a benefit too.
yeah. I think, and like I said, again, me and Aaron's going to talk about this because he kind of got the same feelings I've got about this. But I think as associations, they've lost a little bit of scope for the breed, and they look too much at we're for this organization when they are for us. We're the paying members. We're the ones saying I choose to hunt red bones and I'm going to be a part of the whichever red bone association it is. That they're for us. They're not for the organization that's putting the hunt on. They should be for the breed, the people that's hunting the breed.
Yeah. So when I went to the Winter Classic this year, I won the high scoring, red female for the American Red Bone Association and the National. So they represented the breed there, and more of that is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, again, whatever. I mean, they can take something from this, whether it be a whole separate hunt incorporated into the TOC, whatever it is. I think it's a great idea. I think it's even just a great idea to get some buzz going again, kind of like with the TOC when it first come about. There's a lot of talk and how is it going to be and a lot of excitement about it. And I think this could be just another step in that, in that step of the TOC, the World Hunt, Autumn Oaks, Winter Classic, Grand American.
Yeah.
It can just be another one of those things that help build excitement around the sport.
And good. There's some big name coon hunters that listen to your podcast. So I'm a nobody and a nothing in the big picture of coon hunting. But my goal is that enough people look at the little concept slide, put a little thought into it, and then reach out to UKC if they support it and say, I like this idea, but improve it by doing whatever. You get enough of that going on, pretty soon you'll have a pretty impressive product. A whole lot better than what I came up with.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you get enough heads together, you can kind of put something together and get it figured out eventually. So I think you've got a great idea there. Hopefully they'll take it to heart and look at it, and we'll see some fruition from it. And if there's enough buzz and talk about it on Facebook, people listen to this and get on your different breed associations and make some post about it, or some of the different coon hunting groups and make some post about it. Social media seems to be the squeaky wheel at this time. So if that can get the grease, then we can maybe get something going.
What's funny is I posted it to most all of the red bone and coon hunting conversation, but I didn't post it to where the blue ticks, the black and tans, and others. I guess I need to. I'm not members of those on Facebook, but maybe I need to find a way to post my little slide, my concept slide on those places, and get some of them folks, talking about it.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can go on there, and I'll pull it off my phone, off Messenger or something, and I can go in and post it in those breed associations. I think I'm joined to each one of their groups. I try to join any coon hunting page. I mean, I got a podcast about coon hunting, so I need to see what people are talking about. But yeah, I like the idea. Hopefully something can come about of it, and like you said, maybe somebody's got something else that they can see from a different way. And what I like about it is, if you choose that you don't want to run the wheels off your truck and pay $3 and $4 a gallon gas in your pickup truck to do this, you can just get out there and hustle on those small hunts, and you still have an opportunity to get in.
Oh yeah, you can stack the points. Local club, and that's local club hunts. If anything else, if I can improve the amount of people going to local club hunts, that's a plus. And one thing I didn't put in there, I didn't think about, is how do you incorporate youth into it too? And there's got to be a way of doing that. But like I said, you enough smart people looking at it, you'll get the good idea train running the right direction, and it'll get a whole lot better than what I produced.
Well, and here's the thing. They have some great youth events already. They could take a percentage of your entry fee money and that you enter this race at the beginning of the year and say, okay, 5% or 10% or whatever the percent is of this entry fee money that comes in for these guys to enter this race, all that's going to the youth fund to help with the prize packages for youth nationals, or maybe it's going to help get a youth there, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely ways to do it.
There's definitely ways to do it and room to do it with. So, but anyway, we put it out there. This is what I wanted. I wanted to get you on here and get you to talk about it, and so we can get it put out there. People can listen to this and go on to Facebook and go to my page, the Coonhound Collective, and make a post or send me a message, or go to some of these Facebook pages and make some post about it and share it and kind of get the word out there and see what happens.
Good deal. I really appreciate you having me on. Let me talk about it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate having you back, and I was glad to catch up with you, and hopefully we can get back together here in the near future, and we'll be talking about the Charles Pudil hunt, that idea that you come up with, and when it's going to be. So I
keep my name off it. Come up with something better than my name.
we'll call it the Wampus Cat hunt.
There you go, Wampus Cat.
But yeah, if you don't have anything else, I think we covered what we covered, and I've kept you almost an hour. So I appreciate you being on here.
Hey, no problem. I was all over. I took my wife grocery shopping. I was standing in the park. Some guy was driving back and forth with loud music going. I was trying to shield my phone. But we got it done, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Charles, for being on here, and we will talk at you later.
Okay, have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.